Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And in today's video, I wanted to discuss this huge goal that the CEO of Deutsche Telekom set out for T-Mobile at the recent conference that they had in Bonn, Germany. So he pretty much stated at the meeting that they have their sights set on becoming the US market leader. So they want to completely overtake AT&T and Verizon in this market and become the dominant leader across the board. Now, the reason I say that's a bit skeptic is because how long is it really going to take them to accelerate that type of growth and close that valuation gap between AT&T and Verizon? That's going to take a long time. So the first process, as I've mentioned in some of my other videos, is they have the integration process that's going to take over 3 years. And the reason I say over 3 years, because you just can't give it a time frame because certain things are going to get backed up. Some renters are not going to approve the additional equipment added on the site without a significant increase in rent. There's just going to be different issues that'll pop up over time. So I see this taking between 4, maybe even 5 years to fully integrate the networks across the nation. That's going to take an accelerated growth on their CapEx. They want to spend $40 billion over 3 years. I calculated that's around $13.3 billion. That they're still not spending enough on a yearly basis compared to what Verizon is spending on the network and perhaps AT&T, depending on how much their CapEx is actually going towards wireless. So if they want to do that, I think they have to spend more. They just simply have to spend more. And there's even an article out that states that T-Mobile is once the initial acceleration happens of the integration of networks, then in year 4 and 5 and 6, they would then cut the CapEx from 13 down to 10 billion. That's just not going to work to become a US market leader. AT&T and Verizon can spend as much to make T-Mobile the new T-Mobile's head spin in terms of upgrades and new additions and new small cells. So I think they have to do a lot more to really become market leader, because you got to remember that CapEx, if this is what they want to achieve, has to be split. So they got to think about network integration. Then they still have to expand the 4G LTE network, which is, of course, going to be 5G in the future, just to catch Verizon. Verizon has the largest 4G LTE network as it stands today at more than 2.6 million square miles covered of the U.S. geographical footprint. They literally cover 98% of the actual land that the U.S. has, which is huge. And that's going to be hard to catch. T-Mobile keeps talking about pops of LTE. That doesn't compare to actual square miles. And same for AT&T. They still have to catch up Verizon on square miles of LTE. A recent, not too long ago, report stated that AT&T had gained 50,000 square miles with the first net expansion. So I see that ongoing and growing. But the new T-Mobile is going to have a lot of work ahead of them. And I just don't see how they split up the CapEx to both roll out an aggressive coverage expansion and still manage to integrate the networks on a nationwide basis at an accelerated rate. I think they have to prioritize. I think the network expansion would have to come to a halt, and then they would have to prioritize the network integration. Now, one thing about T-Mobile, they did the hard work, I want to say, in the early HSPA days, and that was rolling out the tower grid on mid-band. So they have density already in the network. Of course, there's always more needed, but like a Sprint or perhaps an AT&T in a lot of markets, T-Mobile has already overcome those obstacles of density, and they have the cell sites already built in most places. Here, they're as dense as a cell site almost every half a mile. That tower spacing is not the same for AT&T or Sprint in this market. I know that's now changing for AT&T with the C-RAN and then additional macros built. But Verizon and T-Mobile are, in a lot of markets, from what I'm being told, in terms of a density layover, they're far ahead on that. Neville stated he's 50% ahead of Sprint in New York City on density. So they just have a lot more towers. So if you incorporate that new spectrum that they're gaining onto that cell grid, there's going to be an insane boost to speeds early on. But to become the U.S. market leader, we're talking enterprise, FirstNet, and all of that. They have to build a much bigger network. All of their towers are going to have backup generators. They got to give their towers the newest and latest and greatest equipment. So there's just a lot of work that needs to be done before they can claim U.S. market leader from two companies. One specifically in Verizon that has been spending, if we calculate that 17, 18 billion every year. I mean, in the last, 5 years, they've spent maybe over 100 billion on the network specifically, since they don't have any other bigger business segments. So that's going to be hard to do, to make up that type of ground. And I'm just, throwing out the numbers there. I'm not exaggerating. It's probably even a bigger gap than imagined at this point. So leave all your comments in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think about this. Do you think he's maybe a bit exaggerating? Do you think, it's the type of you aim for the moon, if you miss, you sit amongst the stars type of deal in this one? So leave all that in the comment section down below. Let me know how you feel about this. If you are new to the channel, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Also hit the notification bell so you are notified when I upload content. Also, I will leave this article in the description down below so you guys can read it. Also, follow all of the social media outlets for Tech Life. And this is Tyrone with Tech Life, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.